Oh, hey there, everybody. We haven't done this pretty recently, but this is Virus Investigations. Yeah, I know it's been quite a hot minute. Trust me, I had a lot of things kicking up lately. It was, there was a lot of stuff. Let me just put it at that, ladies and gentlemen. And I figured I might as well come back with a little bit of a story that teaches you a bit about how Muda destroyed a computer using Limewire. Now, if you're old enough to know what Limewire is, congratulations. We're turned to dust together, baby. Because Limewire is one of the original ways to download classic music, movies, and those weird on and end video games or whatever software. Or if you were a cheeky cunt like me, you probably downloaded LimeWire Pro through LimeWire. Let's get through it. Now, before we begin, I think I have to legally say pirating is wrong. Yes, apparently according to the FBI, whatever you want to get to, pirating a movie pretty much makes Jesus cry. But as a young Mudahar, let me tell you, I pirated a lot, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. I think anybody of my age back in the day pirated whatever they could. Obviously, we didn't have the funds present, so we kind of did it, and that was really it. Back in the day, music was one of those things that was only accessible, I would say, through CD stores. You know, the internet wasn't as shiny as it was back in the day. We couldn't stream whatever we wanted. A megabyte was a hot commodity to our internet service providers. So LimeWire actually was one of those things that was a product of something called Napster. See, for those of you who remember Napster, Napster was a service where you could basically do some file sharing, and a lot of people shared music. It got to a point where I think Napster had like billions of tracks on it, and the way that Napster worked was they effectively worked as an index server, and basically computers would connect to the index server and share files amongst each other. So if a computer had a certain song that another computer wanted, well, they would share the files together, as evidenced in the name, peer-to-peer file sharing. It was because of this that Napster got like that really heavy lawsuit, like they were shut down. But once people get a taste of that good stuff, that that really sticky dank kush of file sharing, you know they're going to get right back into it. So then we spawned the Nutella server craze. Now, Nutella is a delicious spread, but I'm not talking about that one. I'm talking about the amazing file sharing protocol that basically was the lifeblood of LimeWire, MP3 Rocket, BearShare, Kazaa, whatever you want to call it. There was multiple clients that existed out there, but the most prolific one was LimeWire. And LimeWire is one that we all got into. Effectively, how LimeWire worked was Nutella was like a Tor-like relay. It was effectively its own network. And the way that Nutella operated, and this is just very layman's terms, is there would be a bunch of nodes connected to the Nutella main server. And again, like Napster, if one computer had a file that people wanted, it would share those files amongst other computers. And some redundancies would be created. At one point, people would be sharing files that would belong to somebody else through to other computers and vice versa. Basically, people would collaborate their files together, and let's say that the Nutella network, if it had 80,000 computers attached to it, those files, if they were willing to be shared, would be sent from one computer to another if requested. Now, because of the way the system was designed, getting rid of Nutella was impossible. Unless you wiped out every computer from the system, you weren't getting anywhere. So they effectively created a pretty sweet file sharing service. And it was relatively fast. You could get whatever you wanted, and that's kind of where it was at. So for a while, I would sit there and download music, movies, television shows, whatever I could find. Not in the best quality, but it's kind of how I watched a lot of shows back in the day. Anytime a South Park episode I wanted to watch, I would download it through LimeWire, convert it, and then bam, Bob's your uncle, good to go. Now, one of the games I ended up downloading was like GTA Vice City. It was like a 300 megabyte version of the game that had all the music tracks, all the audio removed from it. It was just the game in its bare bones shell, but it's kind of how I experienced a lot of things for free, mind you. One thing that was unexpected was the amount of viruses that existed. See, like most illicitly downloaded products over the internet, a lot of them turned out to be pretty legitimate in terms of their use case. So just to put it out there, before things die here real quick, is once you got access to a file, right? For instance, it could be any music track. The issue with that was while the music was legitimate, you could listen to it all you wanted, it would have a virus embedded in it. So at some point after a year of using LimeWire, I had about 400 different types of viruses on an entire computer. Like we're talking, this Windows XP computer was running slow as dog shit, and I didn't care. I let the ball roll whatever I wanted to. I didn't really think about it. That wasn't until the system actually died. The hard drive was completely unusable. Like, we're talking to a point where the system would post, it would go to a blue screen. Like, there would literally be a point of no read-write cycles left on this device. Now, I remember giving this computer to like a local repair shop, and they totally screwed us over. They said the motherboard was corrupted, and I was young, I believed it, even though nowadays the computer did post. You could get to a blue screen, you could easily replace a hard drive, very cheap to do, and install Windows if you wanted to again, and just start fresh and download more Limewire Cancer if you really wanted to. But that was where I got into. Nowadays, file sharing is all BitTorrent anyways, like it's all using the torrent protocol, and let's not try, if you've ever been one of those people, you know, you don't have to say it, but you understand what I'm trying to get at. There's a whole torrent of information if you want to look at, very magnetic. Torrents exist. It's how most file sharing is done now. It's a much more cleaner, better system that's out there. And even though torrents are used for a lot of illicit purposes, they have a very legitimate use for file sharing. A lot of Linux distros will actually use BitTorrent to like spread their images around. It's a lot easier that way. The bandwidth is shared amongst the community, and it's honestly a better form of file sharing that exists. But no virus investigations is complete without that analysis phase, ladies and gentlemen. So let me give you a quick view of the Gnutella network. Let's actually load up an active Gnutella-based system. Now, it's not Limewire exactly, but it is a similar like service. So I'll show you real quick what it's like to get on here and how it is to download a couple things. Let's go check that real quick. Okay, so here we got a Windows 10 virtual machine that we have set up, and this is a completely fresh virtual machine, as always. And inside here, we actually have Wireshare started. Wireshare, sorry, it's a little too early for me. But basically what we've got over here is an active version of Limewire. Now, Limewire isn't exactly active anymore. In fact, I actually downloaded a pretty non-legit one from like a fake Limewire website, which gives you this weird abomination. No, it's not real at all. It can say connecting forever, but I've never got it connected. And I actually don't think that it's entirely legitimate. It's just going to constantly keep connecting. But this is version 2.1.0 of Lime Pro. Last time I checked, Limewire was at like version 5-ish, if I wasn't mistaken. But here's Wireshare, which is an active version of Limewire. Now, in order to start this, one of the things that you have to do is like straight up legitimately fire it up. Again, I'm giving it administrator privileges. You should never do that, but I'm only doing it because it's a virtual machine and nothing is really happening. This is completely spoofed. It doesn't even know that it exists. But we're going to be connecting to the Gnutella network real quick. For some reason, it hasn't started. I mean, this is just a great sign, is it already, right? All right, there it is. There it is. You just have to kill a phantom application. Now that it's over here, it's actually, if you look down to this point, it's actually connecting. And I've got a connection strength of 1.5. If you go to Tools and you go to Advanced Options real quick, if I can just pull it up real fast, I think it might, not in Advanced Options, I think it might be, yes, in Advanced Tools. So basically what's going on is we're connecting to numerous hosts right now. So these are basically the nodes we were talking about, and they've got protocols of how we're connecting, so ultra-pure standards. They've also got vendor information. So some people are actually giving files away on this network through Limewire itself. Some people have the Gnutella services, and some people are just straight up using Wireshare. And if you look around time, this is the time that they've been active, how much bandwidth that they're selling out over here, messages, status right now, and whatnot. So this is how many services we've connected to. So we've got 5 ultra peers, and we're a leaf node. We're behind a firewall and support firewall transfers. Let's back out of this for 1 second, all right, and actually realize that we've got a turbocharged connection to the network, whatever that means. Now, if we go to the What's New search, I'm actually going to hit audio just because I want to see what's in the new realm. I'm not going to trust any video on this platform or anything else. Now, we've got some Barry White, all right, so if you wanted to download Barry White MP3s, and you can actually get quality of it, so 128, kilobytes a second, and then you've got 320 kilobytes per second on these things, but we're actually constantly searching. So right now, what it's doing is it's searching through the entire network of all the peers and what people are sharing. So we've got Richard Simmons, a 60-minute tape, take a hike, exercise. All right, so we're getting everything. 21 Pilots, Peter Gabriel, Group Love, Wanda Jackson, all these individuals. And as you can see over here, we actually got multiple users in part of this. And the more and more we wait, the more and more we get popping into this situation. So it's very much an alive network if you want to download, Radiohead, Van Halen, whatever you want to call it. Again, with things like Spotify and Google Play and Apple Music, the idea of music piracy is almost dissipated to begin with, right? Like once you have services like that, you can kind of see how these begin to die down. Not only is getting those services very cheap, it's also a place where you can actually get virus-free downloads and not even have to download, just stream it straight to you. It's gotten a lot easier than it ever has, and you wonder why these things are as inactive. It is not just, of course, torrents killing this. Let's go check out something else. Let's go check out if they have some movies, for instance. So it's at this point that I've decided to look for things crossing into the movie territory, and you can actually get soundtracks from Marvel video games. Netflix so far has one episode from their series showing up in apparently excellent quality, so 844 megabytes. Maybe I think that's like a 720p rip. You can download songs from the GTA soundtrack, and there's actually torrents to get GTA 3 PC. How active that torrent must be would probably be pretty hilarious. GTA Chinatown Wars on the Nintendo DS, that's 128 megabytes, so that's probably the actual Nintendo DS version. Now, it's again constantly going to be searching, so can you find some usable stuff here if you were really looking for it? Possibly, but as you can see, the interface isn't really even that great, and honestly, the content over here doesn't seem legitimate just from the titling of it alone. They actually have just straight up torrents of whatever you can find. So even the benefit of the HTTP download over the Nutella network doesn't exactly come apart. It doesn't exactly come together in fruition like you would expect. Of course, just for the heck of it, let's look up things like viruses, and I guarantee you they're actually trying to give you antivirus collections, AVG Antivirus 8 Pro. Guarantee what we're getting over here is straight up viruses. But yeah, I guess if you wanted to look for some stuff that you may not be able to actually even find on torrents or whatnot, you could actually look through over here. Again, it's safe to say that we don't endorse any of this to begin with. Don't go pirating things around, but that's a cool little exploration on what Limewire used to be. So yeah, we would look through songs through this service, and sometimes we would get repeats all the time here and there, but at the end of the day, hopefully we would find what we were looking for, download it, and probably get the least intrusive virus out of it all. And maybe, just maybe, given a snowball's chance, we would get no virus on our download. But that's almost a non-common occurrence. Trust me on that one. Now, that was a pretty dead Nutella network out there. Obviously, it's something that's still active, but because of how torrents are nowadays, nobody's going to be using LimeWire-based services. It was a terrible system to keep going on further. We've already replaced it, but it's a good way to look back at how viruses used to be transmitted, ladies and gentlemen. And it's a way that I destroyed a computer back in the day, like completely legitimately. It was a Windows XP computer from HP. Completely gone, bit the dust. I don't even know where that thing is anymore, but ladies and gentlemen, that was the story of how Muda destroyed a computer as a young child using nothing but LimeWire, Kazaa, and maybe some weird-ass Russian Usenet server. I'm not sure. Actually, I didn't even know how to use Usenet back in the day, but that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that was LimeWire. So while nowadays when we're accessing movies, music, and television shows, the ability to stream it, the ability to pay for a service monthly has actually made the entire use case of piracy pretty pointless. At this point, I pay for a Google Play subscription that costs like $7.99, and I end up getting whatever music I want available right there on the spot. People with Apple Music, Spotify, whatever. With the piracy is one of those things where as soon as you give a very proper way to get the product you want, very cheap, affordable way to do it, very, very, very easy way to get into things, it's going to work. It's kind of why Steam is really popular too in counteracting piracy. When you make something easy to obtain, people are going to go to it rather than pirating the software that's out there. As long as you reach the equilibrium, it's where it's at. So that's another reason why LimeWire just ain't as popular as it used to be. But ladies and gentlemen, that being said, if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike if you dislike it. The point of these videos is to kind of entertain, to make you laugh, and honestly tell you how to keep your computer safe. Don't download random shit on your computer, don't launch random shit on your computer, and don't give administrator access to any program under the sun. Those are my 3 secret rules of the day. Not really secret, it's just common sense. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you for spending the time to watch an Indian man teach you how to not get scammed on your computer. I know, it's kind of a weird situation, right? It really kind of fucks with the mind. But that being said, this is me, Mudahar, and I am out.